In this video, I'm going to talk about 12 different gym mistakes or workout mistakes that you will want to avoid when you start going to the gym. These mistakes are not just totally limited to beginners, because people who have been training a few years might still make these mistakes as well. And so if you watch this video until the end, I'm going to go through all 12 and lay them out to make sure you're not making any of these mistakes. I'm going to go from number 12 all the way down to number 1. The 12th beginner or gym mistake that we see all the time is copying somebody else's routine. You go to the gym and you see somebody else training chest or training in a certain style with a certain program. Maybe you see a YouTuber or somebody else that you look up to and you copy their training program. The problem with this is that training program was most likely designed specifically for them, and so everybody's bodies are slightly different, and it's okay if you're a day one beginner to look around the gym and sort of copy what people are doing. That's absolutely fine, but as the weeks go by, you really need to have your own program, whether that's one that you've brought online, maybe it's one that you get free in my ebook if you download that, absolutely free to download, or maybe it's one that you have a coach or a personal trainer that is local to you that's designed a program specifically for you. So don't copy other people's routines. Number 11 is actually something that's a bit more rare. You don't often see people talk about much in the fitness space, and that is posture. If your posture is not good when you're performing the movements and the exercises in the gym, you have a really good chance of getting injured if you don't have good posture. When you walk around, your shoulders should be back, your chest should be up, and your head should be neutral, your chin should be neutral. A common thing that we see a lot at the moment is text neck. We are obviously on our phones quite often, and so we have this posture where we're looking down all the time, and it's putting all this stress on us upper back, even the lower back. So always remember your posture, whether you're in the gym or out of the gym. When you go to perform an exercise such as the bench press, make sure before you actually move the weight, you set up your posture. You make sure that you've pinched your shoulder blades together. You make sure that you have an arch in your back. And you make sure that you can really feel that movement in the chest. And that goes for every single movement that you're doing. If your posture is not correct, you're not going to be working the muscle in its entirety. And what I mean by that as well is you're not going to get the full range of motion of that particular muscle. So you're not going to be recruiting as many muscle fibers, resulting in less calories burned, and definitely you're going to build less muscle if you're not completely using the muscle in its entirety. If at any point in the video you like one of the tips that I say, or maybe you already liked one of the first two that I mentioned, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You'll learn how to build muscle, how to lose body fat. That's what I teach here. That is the only videos that go on this channel. And so if you're interested in those topics, you're going to want to subscribe and just click that little bell so you get notified when I upload my videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 1 PM UK time. But the 10th point that I want to make that's killing your gains in the gym if you're making this mistake, beginner or not, is one that you've probably seen yourself in other people doing this, and that's moving the weights way too fast. What people do when they begin, or even at an intermediate level, they're often in the gym with their friends, people that they know, and they're moving the weight too quickly. They're trying to get from point A to point B, and they think that that counts as doing the exercise. They think, okay, my program says 3 sets of bench press, so I'm just going to do the movement as quick as I can and put as much weight on as I can on the bar to make my friends think that I can lift more than I actually can. But the problem with this is, one, you're not actually working the muscle because we're going so quickly. There's that so many other stabilizer muscles that are working and taking over from the muscle that you're actually trying to work. And also then you have an increased chance of injury if you're moving the weight quickly with incorrect form. The best way to combat this is to remember the stretch and the squeeze. That's the two things I always recommend for beginners or intermediate people to remember every single workout, every single set. So the stretch is on the way back down of the movement, so the eccentric part of the movement, and the squeeze is on the concentric part of the movement. So the eccentric part would be on the lowering of the weight. Let's take a bench press for example. On the lowering of the weight, I want you to go really slow. I want you to feel the chest, the stretch in the chest. That's the stretch part of the movement. The squeeze part of the movement is on the way back up. We'll squeeze the chest together, so we feel in the chest. So if you can remember stretch and squeeze every single workout, then you have a much more chance of building muscle in the long term. Number 9 beginner mistake that I see in the gym all the time is something that doesn't get talked about as much as it used to many years ago, and that's not training hard enough, not training with enough intensity. And so what happens is we go to the gym and we go through the movements and we go on our phone and start looking up at the clock and talking to girls or talking to his friends or whatever we're doing, and we're not actually intense enough, we're not working hard enough. Because to build muscle or to burn calories, if that's what you're trying to do, but especially to build muscle, we have to apply progressive overload. That basically just means we are overloading a certain muscle. So for example, the bicep, maybe we're doing curls. You could go in the gym and just do one set of curls and use a really light weight and just get 30 reps, and maybe you could even do another 60 more, but that's not overloading the muscle. Overloading the muscle might be doing 4 sets 3 days per week. It might be 5 sets for you. It will be different depending on your current ability, but we use a weight that allows us to overload that muscle. So you're using a weight that maybe you can get 10 reps, maybe you might be able to get 11, but it would not be possible for you to lift beyond that weight. So when you go to the gym, you have to go with a certain intent and a certain intensity, and so how we do that is by lowering the rest time as well. Maybe you only rest 30 to 90 seconds. Anywhere in that range is going to be good. And again, making sure you're actually not just going through the movements, not just lifting the weights up and down, up and down, up and down. You're actually squeezing that muscle. You're feeling the stretch in that muscle. You're actually really working that muscle and focusing. You shouldn't even have time to talk or to look at your phone. You should be that focused on what you're trying to do and on that specific muscle each set, that you don't have time to do other things in the gym. Number 8, and I did quickly sort of touch on this earlier, but I want to go over it right now very, very quickly, and that is the concept of full range of motion. To put that very simply, this just means if you're doing a bicep curl, the full range of motion is bringing the weight all the way up to the top and coming all the way back down until your arm is fully extended. That's full range of motion. The number 8 gym beginner mistake that we see a lot of the time, which is sort of the opposite to the point before, the last point, which is training too long. So you go in the gym, you don't necessarily have a program, you don't have an idea of what you're doing, and you go in and you just go through all the machines or all the weights, and your workout might be 3 hours long, it might be 2 hours long. And this is the mistake I made. This was probably my biggest mistake when I first started. I went to the gym and I didn't have a plan. I wanted to train chest and back and all the muscle groups, and so I would actually go do every single machine in the gym, and sometimes my workouts would be 2 to 3 hours long, and I would do that 3 days a week. I did that for a few months until I couldn't handle it anymore and I actually got injured, and I don't want the same for you. So yes, we need to work very hard in the gym, we need to be intense in the gym, but your sessions really shouldn't be any longer than an hour for almost everybody. I recommend doing 3 full body sessions per week, and those full body sessions might last an hour. If you're a beginner and you're just starting out and you're using the program that's in my free book that you can download down below, then maybe those workouts might last you about 20 to 30 minutes when you're starting out, maybe even less. But the goal of training is to tear the muscle fibers down so that they can grow stronger and bigger when we sleep and we rest. We don't want to annihilate the muscle. We're not trying to absolutely destroy the muscle. We're just trying to stimulate it enough so that it grows bigger and stronger when we sleep. The number 7 beginner mistake that we see in the gym all the time, and that is not taking water to the gym or drinking water whilst you're at the gym. Being hydrated is one of the most important things you can do for your health and your body, period. There's almost no better thing that you can do for your body than being hydrated. And if we're not consistently drinking water throughout the day, every single function in the body is not working properly. Everything your body does requires water, from digestion to eye health and memory. Every single thing that our body does requires water. And if we're not well hydrated, your performance in the gym will just not be anywhere close to where it could be. Number 6 is too many isolation exercises being performed and not enough compound movements. When you start out in the gym, even as an intermediate, the majority of your work really should be compound movements. And so an isolation exercise is something that's just working one muscle group, such as a bicep curl, and a compound movement would be something like a bent over row for your back, which is working many different muscles in your back, even your rear delts, and even a little bit of biceps. So it's working multiple muscle groups. when you're doing that particular exercise. So we want to do more compound movements, because more compound movements build more muscle as you're working more muscle groups, and it also will help you burn more calories if you're trying to lose body fat as well. Isolation exercises 100% have their place in the weight room, but as a beginner you should be really focusing almost all of your work on compound movements if you're trying to build muscle or lose body fat. We're getting through these quite nicely now, and the number 5 beginner mistake that you see in the gym quite a lot is one that I used as well, one of my main mistakes when I started out, and that's just using machines. Going to the gym and only using the machines. And I have done videos in the past where I've spoke about if you're totally starting out and you're intimidated by the gym, just go and do 20 minutes on the treadmill a few times a week, just to get used to the environment of the gym and looking at what people are doing and what to expect when you go to the gym. And that's absolutely fine, you can definitely do that. The next stage might be to hop on a few machines and do the chest press machine or the lat pull down machine or any of these machines that you might see in the gym. It's okay to use them as a beginner if you're sort of intimidated by the gym, but that's just an exception for a few percentage of people. Most people going to the gym should not be using machines all the time. Machines have their place, they're good for certain things, but the problem is with them, they restrict the movement of the body. So a lot of the times it's not actually a natural angle, and so you're pressing weight, for example, it might be a chest press, and you're pressing the weight and it's actually not even at the correct angle that the chest should be working at. It's not the correct angle that you should be pressing at, should I say. And that's why sometimes I recommend staying away from machines for the most part. Also, by using the free weights being dumbbells and barbells, for example, you might do an incline dumbbell press for your upper chest. By doing that, you're building all the other small muscles that you don't see, that people don't talk about. Because you're not in a fixed position like you are when you're pressing on a machine, you have to control the weight yourself. This is why you see people sometimes shaking in the gym if they've only just started, when they're doing a bench press with dumbbells or something like that, because they've got to stabilize the full weight that they're lifting, whereas on the machines you don't have that. You will build more muscle by doing free weights than using machines, and again, machines have their place, but for the most part stick to free weights. The number 4 beginner mistake that gets seen in the gym a lot, and this is probably my personal favourite as a coach, and that is people don't ask for help. You start out in the gym, you don't know what to do, whether it's nutrition, exercise, anything to do with your goals and whatever your goals are, and we go in and we do things, and there's so many other people around, there's so many people we can ask for help. If you don't feel socially confident enough to ask people, even though most people in the gym are there to help people out if you ask them, and most people will help you out if you ask them, then come to YouTube, type comments in videos just like this or other channels. Maybe you like the information that I give but you don't like me as a person. That's absolutely fine. I just want you to get the best results possible. Ask another person on YouTube, ask another coach. It doesn't matter to me, but what I'm trying to tell you is you need to ask for help. I think typically it's something that men struggle with more, but you're only going to improve if you ask for help. Asking for help is not a weakness, it's a sign of strength. It's a sign of somebody that understands what their goals are, what they want to go after, but they just don't yet have the skill set to get there, and they ask somebody that might know. I do recommend trying to ask someone who actually has a background in fitness or maybe personal training or as a coach helping other people, but even just asking somebody at your gym to start out with is a good way to improve. Right, we're into the big 3 now, and remember to subscribe again if you do like any of the tips that I've mentioned. But number 3 is doing the work in the gym but not doing any work outside of the gym. Not focusing on your nutrition or sleep. To get the sleep part out of the way, to recover, sleep a minimum of 7 hours per night. And as far as the nutrition goes, what I mean by that is you're not tracking calories, you're not eating enough protein, you're not making sure your fat is high enough, you're eating junk food and loads of sugar and not real whole foods. You can do all the gym work that you want and you can work out 2 hours a day, but if your nutrition is not on point, if you're not eating according to whatever your goals are, then you're not going to see the results that you want. If you're trying to lose body fat and you're not eating in a caloric deficit, you're not going to lose body fat however many hours you train in the gym. If you're trying to build muscle and the only foods you're eating are junk foods and the protein is either low or very poor quality, the chance of building muscle is a lot slimmer, and you might still build some, but you're not going to build the same amount of muscle as you would if your diet was on point. So you really need to look into your nutrition. I do have a video coming up very soon on how to eat for fat loss. The number 2 mistake that I see people make all the time, and it's quite a big one, and that is lifting light weights. It's okay, and I actually recommend that when you start out you lift anywhere between sort of 10 and maybe 15 repetitions. The reason is because you don't want to be injured, you're just trying to learn the exercise. However, after you've learnt the exercise, it might take a week for you, it might take a month for you. Everybody's slightly different, but once you've got the mechanics of that movement set in your mind, and you go to the gym and you know exactly how you're going to execute a bench press, and you're really happy with your form, and your coach or somebody that you have around who's helping you out is very happy with your form, then you need to start increasing the weights. If you want to build muscle or lose body fat, you need to increase the weight in which you're lifting. Once you've got your form set in, I would aim for anywhere between 6 and about 10 reps. Anywhere in that range is going to be nice. And I would do those reps maybe 1 or 2 shy of failure. My number 1 tip, and this is actually my favourite tip, and that is not being a student of the gym or of training and fitness in general, nutrition, everything that goes into that package. If you're not a student, if you're not watching videos like this every day, if you're not reading books, if you're not watching people and observing the bigger guys in the gym, and that doesn't always mean that they're right, but you have to be a student of this stuff. If you're just going to come in and sort of do a little bit and you're not really thinking about it much, or you're not really diving deeply into the topics, you're never going to learn properly. And so whatever you're trying to get good at in general, you have to be a student of it. Whether it's something in your career, whether it's learning an instrument, whatever it is, you have to be a student of that. And if you're not a student of it, you're never going to get really good at that particular thing.